there, welcome to Boomertube's podcast, the place for baby boomers to come play with your own age group. I'm Deb, and I'm your host. Before we get into today's show, I want to make sure to let you know that we would love to make your story a part of our podcast. So please visit our website for info on how to submit stories or music. If you have a unique, funny, or poignant anecdote about growing up, your teenage years, music, cars, dating, your parents, anything you think our listeners might enjoy, send it to us. We're boomers, and most of us were raised by the greatest generation, an exceptional group of people who deserve our enduring respect. And with that, here we go. Do you remember when you first became aware of your own existence, of your own self, of your own individuality? For me, it was at about 3 or 4. We almost immediately began to try to figure out who we were and how we fit into the world around us, especially after we started elementary school. Suddenly, we were surrounded by a bunch of kids we didn't know and had never seen before. Who were these people? Our quest for individuality had its unique challenges. As kids and teenagers from the mid-20th century, the ways we found to show off our individuality were pretty simple and innocent. Certainly nothing like today's kids. I can't imagine being a kid or a teen in this day and age. For starters, we wrote or drew or painted on everything. Lunchboxes, notebooks, in some cases with toddlers, walls. Pretty sure that one still lives on today as a popular outlet for creativity. Thank you, washable wall paint, which our parents didn't have. Then there was our bicycle bling. Decorating your bike was a way to show off your style. Boys would attach playing cards to their spokes for that satisfying sound. Or girls would have handlebar streamers. Super cool. When we were kids, it was all about collections. And unlike our older brothers and sisters, our hobby interests didn't need to make sense to anyone but us. Boys collected rocks, frogs, and lizards, although I admit to having a pretty healthy collection of live lizards myself at one point. While girls were more prone to collecting things like dolls, teddy bears, butterflies, or postcards. Boys were always on a quest for the perfect marble. It was a badge of honor to score the coveted prized shooter, ribbon core swirls or steelies or a shiny cat's eye or crystals. Yo-yo tricks were all the rage, and kids would have contests to see who could pull off the most intricate and gravity-defying stunts with their yo-yos.
Kids, what's the newest kind of Dunkin' Yo-Yo Top? A new Lifesaver Dunkin' Yo-Yo Top. Where can you get your Lifesaver Yo-Yo? Right in one Lifesaver Yo-Yo bag of fun. Inside the yo-yo bag.
Hobbies were huge in the 50s and 60s and even 70s. It was so much fun to go to a hobby or drugstore and discover that plane, ship, or car model that you'd been looking for. Talk about expressing yourself. You could build it, then paint it, like the picture on the box, or go crazy and paint that 51 Henry J. Gasser bright purple if you felt like it. Train sets were huge. The larger and more intricate, the better. Many girls learned to sew at an early age and would sew clothes for their dolls or design and draw clothes for paper dolls. You could make a cowgirl or dress your doll like Annette Funicello on the beach. Your only limit was your imagination. Then we entered our teen years, and along with that came the various ways we expressed ourselves through our music, the way we dressed, and entertainment. Our hair was a priority. Pompadours and bouffants in the 50s, then guys with long hair in the 60s and 70s. But hairstyles are a whole different subject, so I'll refer you way back to episode 7 of our podcast called Sorry I Can't Hear You Over the Volume of Your Hair. Remember pet rocks? The pet rock craze in the 70s led to kids personalizing their pet rocks with creative paint jobs and accessories. The rock with the most personality would be the rock star. Sorry, couldn't help myself. One of the places we teenagers were allowed to express our individuality was our rooms. Our bedrooms were our sanctuaries, so decorating them with posters of our favorite bands or iconic figures was huge. It was the norm to walk into a kid's room and know immediately who their teen idol was. In my case, I was obsessed with drawing horses. My walls were papered with horse sketches everywhere. And in those bedrooms were our record players and our record sleeve artistry. Now that I think back on it, what was it with drawing on everything anyway? If only we would have known what that album and its cover would be worth today. Beatles' White Album, anyone? The friends and groups we were involved with influenced how we dressed. But at the same time, we were trying to find ways to individualize our appearance. From the 50s to the 70s, we saw everything from poodle skirts to matching socks and shirts for guys, along with the ever-present Levi 501s. From mismatched shoelaces to tie-dyed everything. Decorating your penny loafers was a thing. Kids would compete to see who would attach the most shiny pennies and other trinkets to their shoes. Bonus points for peace sign necklaces and bell-bottom pants that could double as tents in the 70s. Fringe on everything. Initials on everything. Remember Laverne and Shirley? And love beads. The more beads you could stack around your neck, the more far out you were considered, prior to the Madonna madness of the 80s, or Huggy Bear in the 70s. Not sure which one was more out there. Yikes. We had psychedelic art on our high school notebooks, and more peace signs all over everything. Notebook art was epic. Any blank space left that wasn't covered in our attempts at being the next Andy Warhol had our boyfriend's name written out about 1,000 times. When we started to drive, it was all about finding ways to individualize our cars. How many ways did we find to customize those things? Going to the junkyard, not only for parts, but for anything with a square body or special rims. Guys knew how to work on their cars, and if they didn't, they knew someone who could help them. Teenage boys became good at unleashing their automotive creativity with cool paint jobs, and we can't forget pinstriping on cars and motorcycle tanks. If you couldn't afford real pinstriping paint jobs, you went to the parts store and bought rolls of pinstriping to try to do it by hand. One of the first priorities I can remember in 1970 was saving up money for bass speakers to install in my Maverick, along with an 8-track tape player. Then I had to have a case to keep those 8 tracks handy. But my first car was a 49 DeSoto, pure black. And my 14-year-old brain decided I needed to jazz it up a bit, so I bought 3 giant yellow and orange flowers that I could peel off and stick to the trunk of my big black gangster car. You should have seen my dad's face for the first time he drove up and saw that.
What the heck?
Fuzzy dice, anyone? And does anyone besides me idolize John Milner? So, what were we doing? Were we trying to distinguish ourselves as individuals, or following the trends of the time? Maybe both. Run with the pack, or lone wolf it? As kids and teenagers, we were constantly struggling with finding our own identity, while being accepted by our peers at the same time. Interesting how the never-ending struggle to be accepted, yet find ways to set ourselves apart from others, was such a fine line. I guess it still is. If you've listened to our previous podcasts, you know we like to showcase original music written and performed by our listeners. We play this episode's song here, then post it on our Boomertube website where you can download it. The name of the artist and their contact information is posted there as well. This episode, we are honored to welcome Crazy Love to the show. Heather Platts and Bruce Michael Miller make up the award-winning guitar and piano duo Crazy Love. Born out of their mutual love for great songs, tight harmonies, and magical musical moments, Heather and Bruce cover a lot of musical ground with masterfully crafted and emotionally powerful original songs, and carefully chosen songs from the treasure trove of classic material from the 60s through the present. They have performed together throughout the Northwest, and were the featured opening act for the world-famous Daryl Scott at the Americana Music Series show in Boise, Idaho. In August 2019, Crazy Love brought down the house in the biggest show of their lives, a successful kidney donation from Heather to Bruce. Through this act of love and the Miracle of Living Donor program, Bruce and Heather will continue to share their love of song, stage, and story for years to come. The song Borrowed Time is from their album The Big Give. This is a song that Bruce wrote about facing the end of his life when his kidney disease was progressing before the kidney transplant. His health is excellent now, and his new kidney is doing great. The album The Big Give was written about their kidney donation experience in 2019. Be sure to learn more about this amazing duo at crazyloveduo.com. Please give a listen to Borrowed Time.
Just an old Chevy on the highway of life, held together with duct tape and wire. I'm rusty and dusty, long since lost my shine, and only 6 of my 8 pistons fire. But I want one more minute of the wind through my windows, with the radio playing and the sun on my face. I would trade all my treasure for the things you can't measure. Life's precious moments of grace, running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. A tune-up and a fill-up and a new set of tires might get me a little more road. There's still places to be and open spaces to see, and lovers and others to hold. So for one more sweet minute of the wind through my windows, with the radio playing and the sun on my face, I would trade all my treasure for the things you can't measure. Life's precious moments of grace, running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. Running on borrowed time. We've all seen the wrecks by the side of the road, and it's just by God's grace we still roll. We go fast and pretend that this highway won't end, but deep down inside we all know it's a matter of miles
just heard Borrowed Time. A big thank you once again to Crazy Love for sharing this fantastic song with us. We love to hear and play original music, so if you're listening and you're an artist, I hope this inspires you to send us yours. We like to keep it classic, like rock, folk, country, or the blues, but if you've got a tune representing another genre or an instrumental, we would love to hear it. You'll find guidelines for submitting music to us at http://www.boomertube.com. Please make it a recording with a group or an instrument. Put on your best voice and let us help you showcase your work, because you never know who might be listening. And as we mentioned at the top of the program, we would love to make your story a part of our podcast. So send me an email. And if you've enjoyed our podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you would share it with your friends and family. Once again, the website is http://www.boomertube.com. And you can email me at boomertubedeb@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, come play with your own age group. Deb out.